In this lesson, we look to review decimal operations, things you should already know, maybe with a few signs added that makes it a little different for you. And then we'll look at a few equations that have decimals in them. Okay, so let's look at this first slide. Here I've got negative 1.3 plus negative 4.2. Now notice we have the same sign, and when this is addition and we have the same sign as telling us to add. Okay, so I would just always suggest when you do this, put the biggest number on top, even though when you're adding it doesn't really matter. Put the biggest number on top, smallest number on the bottom. Let's add. Remember, you line up the decimals when you add. 2 plus 3 is 5. 4 plus 1 is 5. And bring down the decimal. With these, remember, do not count the decimal places, just bring it straight down. Notice both numbers are negative. My answer should be negative, so negative 5.5. Okay, here we have 10.57. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the top. I've got 6.89. That's on the bottom. Now look at the signs. The signs are telling us to subtract because these are different signs, positive and negative. I know it's going to be a positive answer because my biggest number is positive. So let's subtract. 17 minus 9 is 8. 14 minus 8 is 4. 9 minus 6 is 3. Bring down the decimal. 3.48. I said 14 minus 8 is 4, and 14 minus 8 is definitely 6. Okay, sorry about that. Definitely 6. Okay, moving on. We've got minus sign here, and I want to take care of that before I do anything. So we'll make that a plus, and then we change this to a plus. Now it's all addition, right? It's two positives, and it's addition, so we're just going to, again, line up the decimals, 1.49, and add. When I don't have a place here, I'm just going to add a placeholder 0. Okay, now just add 7. That's going to be 10, carry the 1, 12, 13, and then we have 9, 10, 11. 11.307. Now let's look at multiplication. And again, it doesn't really matter which one goes on top. Apparently I'm not writing. Let's see. Let's try this again. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put the 6.8 on top, 3.1 on the bottom. Again, multiplication doesn't matter. You don't even have to line up the decimals with multiplication. They just happen to line up here. So we're going to multiply 1 times 8, 1 times 6. Next row, remember to add a 0 there. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20. And then add 8, 10, carry the 1, 1, and 2. Now we count decimal places. I have 1, 2, so we move the decimal from here, 2 places, and I get 21.08. And I notice here there's a negative. 1 negative means the answer is negative. Okay, nobody likes division, but we're going to do it. When you're dividing numbers, the first number goes in the box. So we have 0.7 divided into 11.41. I want to make this a whole number, so I'm going to move the decimal one place. And I'm going to move the decimal one place here. And then I bring it up here. Okay. So let's start dividing. That's a 7 now. 7 into 11 goes one time. We're going to bring 7 here. Remainder 4. That's 44. 7 times 6, 42. That's remainder 2. Bring down the 1. 7 into 21 is 3. And that's 0. We're good. Notice both are negative, so I get a positive answer. That's my answer. Okay, now this one looks kind of ugly, but I think we'll find it's not too bad. We're going to put 15.841 in the box. Again, I'm not worrying about the signs right now. It doesn't change how I divide. It'll just we'll deal with the signs when we write the answer. Okay. I'm going to move the 2 places, the decimal 2 places. I'm going to move it 2 places here. Put it straight up here. Now I'm ready to divide. 217. Well, it doesn't go into 158, so does it go into 1,584? Yes, it does. So to figure that out, let's just focus on the 2 and the 15. How many times does 2 go into 15? Well, it goes into it 7 times with a little left over. So it's kind of a guess and check. We'll try 7. Okay, 7 times 7 is 49. Carry the 4. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 4 is 11. Carry the 1. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. And that works quite nicely, okay? Better would be that it was exactly that, but it's not. Okay, we're going to subtract. 14 minus 9 is 5. 7 minus 1 is 6, and we're done. These cancel out here. We're going to bring down the 1. Okay, let's look. 2 goes into 6 3 times, so we're going to try 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. And guess what? 3 times 2 is 6. And it works out nicely. Okay, we have one negative, so our answer is definitely negative. Negative 7.3. That's multiplication and division. Again, we reminded you how to do addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. Then we're going to look at some equations with decimals. Okay, so we look at this. This is one step. We want to get rid of the 3.8. That's a positive. We put a negative 3.8 underneath, negative 3.8 underneath, and we are subtracting. The x comes down. The equal sign is written here, and we should subtract. We're going to borrow, and that's 12 minus 8 is 4, and you bring down the decimal. The decimal goes here. We can put a 0 here if we want. X equals 0.4, 0.4. Okay, my circle's not too good. Coming down with this line, okay, we're going to subtract 10.4 because that's a positive. And we got to line up the decimal. So the 0.4 goes there. We're going to go ahead and put a 0 there. We're adding. Now, the reason I did it this way is because we're adding, and it doesn't matter if the biggest number is on the bottom. I would have done it differently if we were subtracting, but since this is addition, the same signs tell us to add. It really doesn't matter. So I've got a 7. I've got a 5 here, decimal 1, 1. And they're both negative, so my answer is negative. Okay, over here, this a comes down, and then the equal sign. So a equals a negative 11.57. I would circle that, but it'd make it messier. Okay, we're going to do a line here, and we're going to subtract 6.29. Okay, now notice this is positive, this is going to be negative. Since I know I'm going to have to subtract, instead of putting it underneath, I'm going to help myself out a little bit, and I'm going to put it on the top. Okay, and I am subtracting. I want to subtract the smallest from the biggest, so I put that on top just to help us out. 9 minus 1 is 8. That's going to be 2. Bring down the decimal. That's going to be 2, and it's negative because the biggest number is negative. I didn't give myself room for that. And then bring down the x, and there's my answer, negative 2.28. And this is okay. It really helps us if we're subtracting. We want to make sure the biggest number is on top. Okay, let's look at this one. That's actually negative 7.8, so I'm going to add 7.8. Put our line there, 7.8. I get 11, carry the 1. That's 10, carry the 1. And bring down the decimal. Y equals 30.1. Look at this here. This is a negative, so I want to add that underneath to cancel. I'm going to add it here. Now notice again, different signs, so I'm going to make sure we put the biggest one on top over here. This is positive, this is negative. I know I'm subtracting. Okay, I know my answer is going to be positive because this is positive. The biggest one's positive. So that's 2. And that's 3. With the decimal, we can go ahead and put the 0 there, and we can bring the r down and put the equal sign. Okay, no big deal. Okay, this one is negative, so it's going to be positive underneath. It's going to be positive over here, and I'm going to keep it on the bottom because the biggest number is 9.34. I'll leave that on top, even though I'm subtracting. That's the way I want it. Okay, so we're going to borrow. 14 minus 5 is 9. 12 minus 7 is 5. 8 minus 2 is 6. It is negative because the biggest one's negative. Bring down the decimal, just like that. Bring down the x and bring down the equal sign. All right, and circle your answer. Good. Let's look at the next slide. Multiplication and division. So with this one, this is going to be, you do the opposite to solve. So we're going to divide by 7. Divide by 7. X equals. Now we're going to have to do a little work here. So 40.6 divided by 7. Okay, 7 goes into that. That's going to be 5 times 35. Remainder 5. Bring down the 6. 7 times 8 is 56. Okay, remember the decimal goes on top. I failed to do that. I'm kind of in a hurry. Sorry about that. 5.8 is my answer. X equals 5.8. Okay, let's look at this. We're going to divide by negative 1.8. Okay, over here, we'll do this. 1.8. Hope I have enough room. I'm going to move it and move it. And when I move it, I put it up here. Okay, 18 into 63. 18 is almost 20. And 20 goes into 63 3 times. So I'm going to try 3. That's going to be 24. That's going to be 54. And that's going to be a remainder 9. That's good. Now, since I still have a remainder, I've got the decimal here. I'm going to add a 0. And I'm going to bring that 0 down here. And I happen to know that 18 goes into 90 5 times. Okay? So 3.5 is my answer, but it's a negative 3.5. Okay? Okay, here we're going to multiply both sides by 11.5 because that's the opposite of dividing by 11.5. Okay, so we're multiplying 11.5 by 0.4. And we don't have to line up the decimal, but we're multiplying. This is going to be 20. That's 6. And that's 4. 2 decimal places. We get y equals 4.66. Or if you want to write the 0, you can. 4.6 is what we get. One more of these. We're going to multiply by what's below here, negative 5.9 times negative 5.9. We get x equals. Now, 2 negatives together obviously make a positive, but let's come over here and multiply these. 5.9. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. 5.9 and 9.1 multiplication. Yeah, I'm going to run out of room too. Let's see if we can move this up just a bit. There. Okay, the wonders of technology. Here we go. We got a 9 and a 5. Then we're going to put a 0. It's going to be 81. Carry the 8. 9 times 5 is 45. Plus 8 is going to be 53. And I hope I can read my writing here. 9, 6, 3, 5. And we get 1, 2 decimal places. 53.69. If I'm reading my numbers right, I went too fast there. And they're both negative, so we're going to get a positive answer when we do that. Positive answer. Okay, one more slide, and I think we're done. Ethan's car averages 25 miles per gallon. When I see that word per, that should be telling me what I'm going to do in the equation. Okay, it tells me how to set it up a little bit. If he drives a total of 415 miles, how many gallons of gas did he use? Well, the question is what x equals. X is gallons of gas. That's x. Okay. Per tells me in the equation I need to multiply 25 times gallons. And we said gallons was gas. So it's going to be 25 times x. And this is the total which goes on the other side. And now we have made an equation. 25x equals 415. Okay, so we're going to divide both sides by 25. Dividing by 25 is pretty simple. That's probably why I chose it. Okay, we're going to put 415 in the box. We're going to put 25 outside. 25 goes into 40 one time. We put a 25 there. It's going to be 16, right? 16 remainder. Bring down the 5. 25 goes into 165. Well, that's going to be 6 times. Okay, 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 2 is 12. That's 15. We're going to bring that down. That's going to be 1, 5. And you got to put a decimal and add a 0 and bring that down. 150. Well, guess what? We just got 150 when we multiply by 6, so it's going to be another 6. That's going to be 150. So we get x equals 16.6 gallons. It's a word problem. We certainly need units. I hope this refreshes our memory a little bit. I know it's decimals. I'm sorry for that, but hopefully we can get through this lesson and without it being too difficult.